Hey everyone. I keep telling myself that I'm not going to talk about the open game license anymore until there is something additional to talk about. But today what I want to talk about is something a little more personal. And that is that as I look through everything that's happened over the last several years and what's happening right now, I can't help but feeling as though I have been used and that now that I'm not needed anymore, I'm being kicked to the curb. So a little bit of history. My first role-playing game was Dungeons & Dragons. 4th edition, 2012. I loved it, loved everything about it, been hooked ever since. And I still remember going into the game store to get the game. I knew absolutely nothing about it. And I got somebody at the store and asked them, hey, what should I get to get started with Dungeons & Dragons? And that person led me to the Red Box Essentials kit. But I still remember that while they were giving me that box, they made a comment and said that I should consider playing Pathfinder instead because it's actually a lot more popular. But me, I never heard of Pathfinder, but I did hear of D&D and I've heard about it all my life. And so that's what I went with. And I don't have any regrets because I enjoyed it and I love it and it was great. It was only over the next several months that I realized all the issues that were going on with 4th edition and discovered what Pathfinder was. I began to see how the D&D brand was really struggling. And in fact, my first 2 gaming groups that I was ever in were Pathfinder because you just couldn't find a 4th edition game anywhere. And when I learned about D&D Next, I was super excited. But the rest of my group couldn't care less. Their attitude was that at best, Wizards was going to bring back some of the things that had existed in 3rd edition, but they already had Pathfinder, which was basically an extension of 3rd edition, so there was really no need to change anything. But for me and my loyalty, I still did the playtest with D&D Next. I loved seeing all the changes that were coming, and when the basic rules came out, I got them. When the starter set was released, I snatched it up. When the core books came out, every single one of them. 5e was super popular, but it was still competing with Pathfinder. It still had to dig itself out from the hole that it had dug from the way that it handled 4th edition. So how do you get those people back onto your side? You open it up and you let them make content for your game. Enter the Open Game License 1.0a, along with an extremely generous 5th edition system reference document, and even options where you could use the full catalog of Dungeons & Dragons material if you wanted to go through DM's Guild and pay a pretty hefty 50% royalty. But I was fine with that. This was great. I could actually make content for this game that I loved. And so I jumped on it and I started making content for the game, and I sold some of it on DM's Guild and I sold some of it under the Open Game License on DriveThruRPG. And I still sell stuff on DriveThruRPG. And for Wizards, this was great. Slowly but surely, the community grew and grew. And soon Pathfinder was back to its position in a distant second place. So much so that over the next few years, Paizo decided that they needed to expand their product line. And so enter Starfinder and Pathfinder 2nd edition. But D&D was once again king. And then COVID hits, and it only solidifies Dungeons & Dragons' place at the top. So you had, once again, Dungeons & Dragons, and then everybody else. And all because the community came together and expanded a dead brand and made it viable again. And now the new Open Game License leaks. And it's really clear that Wizards is done with me. They want to charge me royalties. I get it, fine. But when they say that they're going to revoke the old perpetual license, and I have to stop selling those products, and fan sites have to register with them, and the most egregious thing, they can actually steal my products if they like them and they can make them their own. So with all of that, I know where I stand now. And I feel like I was duped. I am one drop in the ocean of people that saved this brand. And now that we're no longer needed, we're being told to stop or we risk being sued. And in reality, it was the long con. It started before 5th edition was released, and they've been playing it ever since, leading up to this moment where they finally play their card and say, okay, now we don't need you anymore. But here's the thing. We don't live in the same world we lived in 2008 or 2010 or 2012. Today's world has a lot of role-playing games that are very different from Dungeons & Dragons and don't use any content that Wizards can claim. And that community is not dependent on any one brand anymore. If Wizards says that they don't need me anymore, then I will simply move on to other games that value a community of content creators. Or I will make system-neutral products. As it turns out, I don't need Wizards. Wizards fired a shot across the bow and told me I'm no longer welcome. That's fine. I still love D&D. I will still play D&D. I will still enjoy looking through my books and being nostalgic about what's in there. But I'm also fine looking for a new home for my stuff. And if this is how Wizards wants to play the game, then they've lost my trust. And I will never again make products for a company that is going to play those kinds of games. Anyway, that's where I'm at right now. Quite disappointed, feeling like I've been taken advantage of, and I'm waiting to see what comes next. I'd love to hear more of your thoughts down in the comments. Until next time, take care.